Hello and welcome back to the Doctor's Garage. So today I've got a Defender 110 and my Defender 90 alongside each other, just so we can look at the comparison, see what's new on this car. I know it's been talked about a lot, and to be honest, when I look at this car, I can't help but think it looks like my Defender and my Discovery have had a baby. So let's take a look at the new Defender and have a look at it from the front and see what similarities have been carried through from the old model. And there's actually quite a few, although it doesn't look like it when you first see the car. So first thing is, you've obviously got the lettering across the front like most Land Rover models do, but looking more closely to this car, you've got the round lights that you've got with the two lights here, and actually similar to what my 2007 TD5 has on it. The other thing is, it's nice little touches like the bit of checker plate. You've got the slightly raised bonnet in the middle with the wing tops. It resembles what was like on the old car. And when we go around the side, you notice things like the arches. So on mine, these are gloss black, but this is part of the new model, which actually carries through from the old on both front and rear. And they just give you that wide body stance that you get on this car, which is similar to what the old one looked like. You've got the nice square mirrors in gloss black. You've also got the side vents here. Mine are much smaller, but similar, something that's taken from the old car too. Going around to the side, we've got things like the Alpine window, which is really nice on the station wagon models. We used to have that. Doesn't have that on mine because mine was a vanback, but that is a station model feature, which is nice actually, because inside too, it gives you that extra bit of light through the tops, which is quite a nice feature to have. Go around the back, there's quite a few similarities here. And although, like I say, when you first see this car, you might not think of the old Defender, you've certainly got quite a lot of the similarities. The first one I really like is this slight hump that you have in the car, which is a resemblance of the old one. The light panel as well, which looks good. Obviously the rear mounted wheel, and actually the boxiness of the car is still quite similar. This car is much wider and looks more, has a much bigger road presence actually than the old one did, because it's a lot more chunky at the backs. Similarly, we've got the mud flaps, which are really, really similar. We've still got the same kind of tailgate too. Really similar in a lot of ways, and not similar at all in some other ways. And actually from the exterior, I actually really quite like it. These areas here are used for mounting different accessories, so you can get luggage boxes, you can get a full roof rack for this, you can get the rear ladder, the same as what you would on the old classic Defenders. Now obviously this is a 110, but when you look at the wheelbase, it's actually quite similar. And if I lined up an old 110 against this, it's almost identical in length. Although the wheelbase on this is slightly bigger, it still actually matches up the same front to end. So overall, look at this car from the outside, I really like it. And there's those little things that carry through from the old model into the new too. While we're here as well, just like to say thanks to Chris, who owns the House of Cars in Southall, who lent me this Defender today. He's got loads of Land Rovers in stock. This one actually is for sale currently, the HSC model. Go check out my description below for a link to his website and this exact car. So now to my old Defender. For those who don't follow the channel, I've got loads of videos on this car of things I've done to it over the time and things that I've modified with it. I've owned it for about a year now and I absolutely love it still. So on this car, for those that don't watch the channel regularly, let's quickly talk about what I've done. So some things: resurfaced the cross member, new stainless steel bolts, LED lights, rear step, new mud flaps, in the back as well, tinted windows. These are Cooper SGT Pro off-road tyres, which are really nice. All this badging as well that I've done, and all these things available in the description below if you want to buy stuff for your own Defender. Everything I bought for this car is pretty much in the link below. It's either eBay or mostly eBay actually for things that I've bought. Going around, gloss black arches to match the gloss black roof. This colour's Keswick green, by the way, which is quite an unusual colour in Defenders. Side vents are the classic feature of a Defender. Oh, one other thing is the square mirrors, very classically Land Rover Defender, and also classical that they bend when you go fast, so you can't see what you're looking at, which is good. Let's go inside and see what's similar. And as you can see, when we first start, there's not a lot. I mean, this is a very different place to the old Defender, and this is where you certainly get that Discovery influence in the car. There is a few things though that I can pick out which are quite similar. One of them is obviously It's got quite a, you know, a hard wearing floor like Defenders should have, so you can wash these footwells out. It's got things like the exposed bolts, which I really like as a carry through feature. Quite square window edges and things to put your arm on. Fortunately in this car though, when you get in and close it, you actually have some room here. In mine, the door starts about here, I'd say, so you have to have the window open when you're driving it. Other than that, we've got things like the grab handles, which are on the side here. The same actually as what I have in my TD5, so the same dash grab handles. And I really like all this exposed aluminium, I think it is, throughout the car. And actually this is structural in the cars too, so that's quite a nice feature. When you look at the dash, it is similar in the sense it's quite a vertical dash, feels quite the same, but there's a lot of new modern things that obviously make this car a much more nicer place to be when you're driving. So you've got the screen, you've got the wheel actually, and this wheel now is in the 2021 Discovery. I really like it. It's the new kind of Land Rover wheel they're using. There's some really cool little gadgets, like the rear view mirror is actually a camera. So because you can't see a lot when you look through here, and so this is a camera, and it's actually, I've driven with it. It takes a bit of getting used to because it's quite close, but actually that's a really nice feature too. When we get out of the car, having a look at the seats and stuff, it does still feel quite rugged in here, and this is an HSE model, so this is quite a high spec, but it still feels quite like you could use it more as your you know, car to walk with dogs or to go whatever, any kind of sports stuff. It feels definitely a bit more tough wearing than you might get in your Discovery, so that's quite nice to see that they still carried that sort of element of adventure through into the Defenders. In the back, you've got loads of room, and one of the biggest things I notice about this car, compared to even a Discovery or the other Land Rover models, is the headroom. The headroom in these cars is massive. When I sit in here, I'm 6 foot, and even when I look at myself here, there's so much room left to go that it makes for a really good high headroom based car. In the back, it feels massive, really, really spacious. It's got little features like if you look at the rear window, that little panel at the back is almost what it used to be like when you had the sliding window in the station wagons. So nice little carry-throughs like that. So overall, this is a way more luxurious and comfortable place to be, but there's still parts of it that do feel like a Defender, which I can like that they've done that and brought it through from the old models. So let's take a look inside the old Defender. Where do we start? Quite a square upright dash, all the consoles like that. Yeah, everyone puts a small steering wheel on these because the distance, as you can see, I have the window open most of the time when I'm driving it, so I can actually drive the car because your elbow always hits the side otherwise. Going to the side, let's have a look in the passenger seat what we have. So steering lock, of course, because they're stolen pretty much every hour in the UK or something. Things like the dash, the grab handles on here, these are all very classical Defender-y things. The cubby box in the middle, this is the bulkhead at the back here. But yeah, quite a simple interior, but a very functional one. Your visibility and view is amazing when you're driving these, so you really see the whole bonnet, which I think is something they've tried to do on the new Defenders, but like I say, I'll have a look at that when we go for a drive. I think that's probably everything from an exterior point of view. But I absolutely love this car. And if I'm really honest, I don't see the new Defender being a comparison for this. I'm not saying it's a bad car, but there's nothing quite like the old Land Rover Defender shape. So I was going to do a drive in my Defender to see what it's like. But to be honest, I'll just tell you, it's really, really noisy. It vibrates a lot and it's quite uncomfortable. And that basically summarises how this thing drives. So let's go and have a look at the new Defender, take it for a drive, and then, yeah, let's see how they stack up. So let's go for a drive and see what this drives like. Obviously, I drive my Defender 90 pretty much daily actually at the moment, so I have a good idea of what that feels like. And even already just driving this car and starting it up, I can tell you it feels way more like my Discovery 5 than it does my Defender. So this is actually pretty incomparable to my old Defender in so many ways. And to be honest, when you're inside of this car, you don't know it's a Defender. I would actually liken this more to any of the other Land Rover cars that they have, and probably really the Discovery 5 more than anything, because you have that quite high ride height, you're really spacious inside, it drives really similar to a Discovery 2, feels the same on the road. If anything, actually, this car feels a bit more spacious than a Discovery. There's certainly less dashboard coming forward, and so there's a bit more room in the front, particularly as I mentioned on the exterior video when I was going around, the head height is actually bigger in this car. So I'd probably say this car feels more boxy, more spacey inside than my Discovery 5 does. This car would never be a replacement for my Defender. I could never swap my old Defender for this one. It just isn't, it's not a comparable car. but having it today has made me think about my Discovery 5 actually, because I do really like this car. I like the way it drives, I like the way it looks, I like the heritage elements that it's got from an exterior point of view, so I like you know, all the things that are carried through from the older cars, and I just think it's quite a cool car generally. You see a lot of Discovery 5s about, and they are amazing cars, as I mentioned in my other videos. They're amazingly capable cars, but they're also a little bit boring, whereas this feels like it's got a little bit more to it than the Discoveries. It just feels a bit more special actually, and it drives the same. Honestly, I wouldn't know that I'm in a Defender. I could be in anything. I could be in, you know, it feels like a big car, but I could be in a Range Rover, a Range Rover Sport, a Discovery 5. I wouldn't really know. So having driven these cars back to back, my old Defender and this one, I can say this is much nicer to drive. It doesn't quite have the same ruggedness that my old one does, but if I was buying a car for everyday use, it would definitely be this one. If I was buying a family car, it would definitely be this one over my old Defender. But I do love my old Defender, and as I mentioned, I don't really think there is a comparison to be had. I know a lot of people try and compare the old to new, but realistically, they're just different cars. There's quite a lot of heritage that gets carried through from the old ones, but really this is just a different machine, and this is really a car that you could live with daily, do the school run in it, you could go on weekends away in it, and you can still drive to work in it too. And I think that's the benefit of the new Defender, and really that's what people want these cars for now. They don't want a car that's so rugged and so non-watertight like the old Defender. People want a car they can actually live with and use it for multiple different things. So for me, absolutely love it. So I hope that's been an interesting video comparing the new Defender to the old Defender. For me, I think it's the perfect combination of some of the old heritage features that Land Rover carried through, but also some of the newer comforts and features that you get in something like the Discovery 5. For me, I think it's actually the perfect combination of the two. In the future, would I change my Defender for this new one? Definitely not. But would I change my Discovery for the new one? Maybe. If you've liked what you've seen in this video, please check out the other videos on my channel about my Defender, about my Discovery. Please remember to subscribe, like the video, leave me a comment in the box below, and I'll see you on the next video.